What's up, what's up? How's it going, everybody? The Mark Weber here, and we are with another Ask MVP video. This time, go Bears, as always. But some things to talk about, and we'll get to some other stuff soon. But the first thing that needs to be addressed is something that probably has already kind of been fixed by the time that this goes up. So in my mock draft 2.0, as many people pointed out, Jamal Adams was left out of the first round, and that was not intentional. There's somebody else who was dropped out of the first round that is intentional, which I think also might have been mentioned in the comment section, not 100% on that. Obviously, Jamal Adams, even though he didn't have as impressive as a combine day as people would expect, obviously I did not mean to leave him out of the first round. And I actually said to Ricky today before recording the podcast that I got to Baker at the end, and something felt weird, and I was like, well, we're going safety. You know, next guy up here. I don't really think he's a first rounder, but he's not that far off. So I knew something was off. It's getting corrected, and now that everybody has gotten angry and yelled a bunch, shut the fuck up. No, it's got fixed. Shit happens, obviously. Mistakes happen. That was an annoying mock draft to do because I started doing some things before free agency and then said, wait, no, let's hold on. Free agency kind of happened. The combine happened, then free agency happened. A lot of corrections needed to happen throughout the process. So shit happens. Jamal Adams is now in the first round. Congrats. Let's move on to some other stuff. I got some questions pulled up on the phone here. So good friend of the podcast and most valuable podcast in general, Riley, we need that Ricky Widmer roast, and it's going to happen. Here's the thing about stuff like this. Obviously, we had the podcasts that go up on somewhat as much of a regular schedule as all possible, except for these past couple of weeks. I'm sure you guys have noticed work and personal lives have gotten in the way a little bit, but things go up in the way they always do. There are specific videos that need to go up every time. So something a little bit extra like Ricky Widmer's roast. It's on the to-do list. It's on the checklist. We're gonna get to it. We just haven't really had the free time to do it. This is you guys have heard us talk about it a million times. This is why we have things like Patreon, and this is why we have those opportunities to get more financial support, so that way we can do less of the day job at some point and do more of this as the day job. So that way we can do all the extra things like that. And I can't tell you guys how many times somebody will say something that's an awesome idea for a video or a cool podcast idea. It's just awesome things that we want to do, but they get put on the list of, we'll get to it. We'll get to it eventually, with resources permitted, essentially. So Ricky Widmer's roast, it's going to happen. You guys know it's going to happen. It's just going to take a little bit of time to do it when the stars align. So I got a question here, and this question is, what's up with the Tom Brady? So people of you, that's the short of it. People of you who are listening to the Onside Kick for a long period of time, you know that I've been really on this whole Tom Brady thing for a long time. And I'm not the only person who's said stuff about Tom Brady, maybe not playing in the NFL too much longer. I've never been one, however, to really say that he's going to just start sucking out of nowhere. I definitely have warned that, hey, at some point it's going to happen. But I'm not expecting it to happen immediately. The reason why for like 2 years now I've been saying that, hey, Tom Brady's last season, it's coming, is purely because of Jimmy Garoppolo and the future that is that. You guys have heard us talk about Jimmy. You've heard us talk about Tom Brady. You've heard us talk about all that stuff a lot. So there's no reason why I really need to go into it. In this video, you can check out any of the million times we've talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. The big thing here that I want to say for that is just that I don't hate Tom Brady, so don't think I'm a Tom Brady hater. I'm just thinking, planning and logistically for the future of the Patriots organization. All right, just a little bit more. We have, relating to my March Madness bracket, which some of you may have seen. Some of you guys were curious to know how that went. Not very well. Like I said, I don't really watch college basketball, and I have not been watching it this time. I watched a small portion of one of Michigan's games. It was on, so I watched a little bit of it. I was at work, so didn't watch very much. Yeah, it's not going that great. I'm not in last place, but when you just pick things based off of where you'd rather live, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then finally, with Most Valuable Podcasts, that's what we do, guys. With Most Valuable Podcasts, what do you think will be the next biggest change? So I think the next biggest change, I mean, you guys have seen a big change right now when we're adding the new podcast with Rick and Johnny and adding some more of the, nerd culture type of content. So you guys have also heard us talk about how we want to go to VidCon and stuff like that. We want you guys to help support us in getting to VidCon. The next big change I think I could see for MVP is getting into more of that type of stuff. One of the things that we want to do is go to conventions and stuff like that and cover more within that realm. Not that we're going to try and take away anything from the sports stuff, but just that we want to, dabble in that world and give you guys a little bit more stuff of us doing things differently. And sometimes it's nice for us to do something different. Just because it's, something that feels different and unique. Variety is the spice of life. So with that being said, you guys have seen us talk about some movies, well, a lot of between Ricky and Johnny, talking about movies, talking about comics and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave a question for you guys, and that's going to be, what haven't we gotten to yet? With it, taking into account, I know I saw someone asking us about like MLB, and we don't talk about that as much as we could. But with some of that new stuff, with the nerd realm, whether it's video games, comics, movies, what's missing? What is it that you guys would love to see a little bit more of? I'll leave that for you guys. Let us know down in the comment section. Of course, you can check out my mock draft 2.0, which I mentioned for the NFL draft. It's fixed. I guess you can call it 2.1, but whatever. Jamal Adams exists now. So thank you guys for checking this out. Don't yell at me for stupid stuff like leaving somebody out on accident. Comments down below for more questions. Ask MVP. You can do askmvp@gmail.com for more questions. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I will see you next week.